15 idiotic muscle building mistakes. Avoid these. Muscle growth is a complicated process that is impacted by a person's genetics, food, and level of exercise. A customized strategy is needed to make significant progress. By avoiding typical traps that impede progress, you can put yourself on the correct track for regular muscle growth by avoiding these 15 points. Mistake 1. Chasing the pump. Focusing just on the pump during exercises is a typical mistake. Even while it feels fantastic, a pump doesn't add much muscle on its own. You can achieve a pump by flexing or using low weights, but this won't result in real muscular growth. While getting a pump is common after intense training, it's not the primary cause of muscular growth. Don't chase the rush. Instead, concentrate on good training. Mistake 2. Chasing fatigue. Fatigue is a byproduct of high-intensity exercise, much like the pump, although it doesn't initiate muscular growth. Muscle growth is not always accompanied by fatigue, perspiration, or even nausea. It is possible to work out hard without seeing significant muscular growth. Don't go to the gym intending to just wear yourself out. Mistake 3. Relying on muscle soreness. A satisfying pain in the muscles might be an indication of hard work and some tissue damage. But just as with the pump and exhaustion, growth is not the sole result of muscle injury. Effective muscular growth does not always correspond to severe discomfort. Although soreness is frequently experienced after a layoff or after introducing an unfamiliar stimulus, it is not a trustworthy sign of muscle stimulation. To measure muscle activation and modify technique, it can be helpful. But discomfort does not imply hypertrophy, and lack of discomfort does not imply that you didn't cause muscular growth. Applying load to muscle fibers and training near or at muscular failure are the main factors that cause muscles to grow. Pump, exhaustion, and soreness are not the primary causes of hypertrophy on their own. If they were, the greatest kind of training would be high-rep, lightweight training, and marathon runners would have huge legs. Mistake 4. Insufficient training effort. The biggest error impeding physical transformation is training. That is, not pushing yourself to the point of actual muscular failure during your sets. Since muscle growth is a response to stress, substantial growth won't happen until the demands are greater than your capacity. Your training needs to be tough if you want to see significant results. You're probably not training hard enough if you're not periodically making uncontrollable noises, getting anxious before difficult lifts, or pushing yourself to the limit. On most sets, try to finish a set with no more than 3 reps remaining. For most sets, you want to be 1 to 2 reps shy of failure. Sometimes, for maximum gains, push the envelope with all-out failure setups. Mistake 5. Winging it in the gym. Not keeping track of your workouts is a serious error. The development of muscles requires gradually overloaded tension, which is accomplished by gradually increasing labor. Although winging things and improvising can result in some improvement, a more methodical approach works far better. Constant muscle growth is dependent on tiny, gradual gains. You can accurately track these gains whether it's an extra rep, more weight, slower negatives, or more difficult exercises by keeping track of your sessions. Over time, it is beneficial to invest a few seconds in writing down specifics in a notebook or on your phone. Your training logbook acts as a guide, setting specific goals for every exercise and attesting to the overall efficacy of your program. Measurable strength increases happen every week, despite the gradual growth of apparent muscle. You're probably putting on muscle if the numbers in your logbook keep getting higher. They indicate the necessity for program modifications if they become stagnant. It can take months to assess success only by looking at visible changes. However, by keeping a training logbook, you can spot problems early and make necessary corrections to stay on the path to continuous improvement. Mistake 6. Excessive workout variation. It may be tempting, but switching up your workouts all the time can impede your development. It is challenging to precisely monitor progressive overload when exercise variables such as selection, order, volume, and techniques are changed. It is a fallacy that muscles confuse. They react to tension rather than variation. Maintaining constant training variables and emphasizing improvement within them is more effective for hypertrophy. This strategy improves the efficacy of workouts and enables precise progress tracking. Rather than being average at many exercises, focusing on a select few allows you to improve and perfect your technique. As Bruce Lee said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 curling variations once. The man who has 10,000 reps at one curling variation is the one I fear." Mistake 7. Choosing the wrong lifts. Making the wrong choice of exercises is a common mistake. You don't have to be an anatomy specialist to grasp the various muscle types and what they do. Results can be hampered by choosing workouts at random from internet sources without thinking about how they would affect particular muscles. Hypertrophy is driven by mechanical strain, but it won't work if it isn't applied to the correct muscle fibers. For example, since overhand pull-ups are more of an upper back workout, concentrating on them for lats may not maximize growth. Potential benefits may go unrealized if triceps activities are neglected. If triceps anatomy is not understood, lagging muscles can also result from common fallacies, such as the belief that squats and leg lifts are adequate exercises for developing the hamstrings. A well-rounded development of the hamstrings requires the inclusion of activities involving both knee flexion and hip extension. A training regimen that is more effective is ensured by comprehending muscle function and choosing workouts accordingly. Mistake 8. Unequal body part focus. Overemphasizing certain muscle groups, especially showy muscles like the biceps and chest, is a typical mistake. Popular fitness content that emphasizes exercises for the chest and biceps frequently fuels this trend. The total mass of the chest is similar to other muscle groups, including the triceps, lats, and traps, while the biceps are really the smallest primary muscle group. Although developing larger biceps and chest is important for total body composition, it's important to balance these goals. It's not required to follow the many exercise variations recommended by clickbait material to target particular areas. A well-developed upper back and the largest muscle group in the upper body, the shoulders, add more to an overall strong and muscular image than does an overemphasis on the chest or biceps. Mistake 9. Unstable exercises. It is harmful to muscle growth to purposefully create instability during lifts, such as using Swiss balls, Bosu balls, or unusual things lifted. Exercise on unstable surfaces decreases your position and lowers your force against the weight, despite promises that it will recruit more muscle fibers or shock the body into new gains. You want to make your lifts as steady as possible to maximize muscle growth. By guaranteeing the maximum level of mechanical stress, this encourages efficient and well-managed muscle contraction. Mistake 10. Ego lifting. Ego lifting is a frequent and harmful mistake in which the emphasis is on lifting large weights at the expense of good form. Gradually increasing the load is important, but losing form in favor of numbers and stumbling around too much weight might backfire. Inadequate technique puts more strain on joints and connective tissues, increasing the chance of injury and reducing the tension on the targeted muscle. True progressive overload keeps form constant as you increase the weight or perform more reps. It is important to reduce the amount of effort and put patience ahead of heavy lifting if you are unable to maintain a full range of motion or appropriate form without momentum or assistance. Mistake 11. Excessively strict form. Being excessively stiff with form and focused on the mind-muscle link are the opposite extremes. It's not always the case that a muscle's perceived tension corresponds exactly with its mechanical tension. Ego lifting is not the answer, but you also don't have to lift in the manner of a stiff robot that micromanages every motion. Strike a balance between lifting with good form and allowing for some spontaneous mobility. This method, which strikes a balance between precise form and efficient muscle engagement, frequently causes the targeted muscle to become more tense with increasing training experience. Mistake 12. High rep focus. It can be a mistake to perform an excessive number of high rep sets, particularly if they are 15 to 20 or more. While training near failure can successfully develop muscle in any rep range, very high rep sets significantly increase systemic fatigue. This includes elevated cardiovascular stress, muscular burn, nausea, and metabolic stress, all of which could become obstacles to your training. While everyone has different tastes, most find that the most effective and efficient way to accumulate the majority of training volume is to base sessions around a modest rep range, generally 5 to 12 reps. While including very high rep sets into your training can be helpful, depending too much on them can cause generalized body tiredness and discomfort that could lower the effectiveness of your workouts. Mistake 13. Short rest time. A common mistake is not taking enough breaks in between sets. Short rest intervals can cause extreme exhaustion, which lowers the caliber of the sets that follow. The goal of hypertrophy training is to approach real muscular failure as closely as possible in order to enhance mechanical stress. Anything that prevents this can be detrimental. You should rest for as long as it takes you to feel totally healed and prepared to give the next set your all, rather than following a specific rest schedule. Depending on the exercise, energy levels, workout development, and proximity to failure, different rest periods will be required. For most sets, you could expect to spend anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes on average. Mistake 14, cardio before lifting. It's a mistake to do a lot of cardio before lifting. It is not recommended to perform a complete cardio session just before weight training, although a quick light cardio warm-up of 5 to 10 minutes is okay. Your capacity to train muscles with optimal effort is compromised by this technique, which causes needless systemic tiredness. If cardio is more your style, it's best done after a workout, if you have the energy. Cardio should not be done right before a workout, especially if your main objective is to gain muscle. Mistake 15. Copying enhanced lifters' routines. It can be risky when copying the workouts of boosted bodybuilders. Performance-enhancing drug users may have amazing bodies, but their training regimens might not be the best for natural lifters. Regardless of how they train, some people with superior genetics and PED use can develop physiques. It's important to remember that natural lifters won't see the same level of success from their programs. Natural lifters follow different guidelines, so for people without the benefit of medications or exceptionally good genes, doing high-volume pump-focused regimens like those pushed by enhanced lifters would not be the best course of action. In order to receive updates about new videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to talking to you again shortly.